Hardy Construction.
What's up, everybody? It's a Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/hardyconstruction, as well as facebook.com/thehardyconstruction with your host Comp, and
Danny.
it's Adios 2016. So, what a wonderful year 2016 has been, right, Danny? It's a lovely.
It really is. It's my favorite year so far.
So many things have happened this year. What are some highlights of what has happened in the world, in the United States of 2016?
Every celebrity I've ever loved has died. Donald Trump is our president.
Yes.
Hillary Clinton was almost our president. What else? We reviewed a lot of good horror movies.
Yeah.
And bad ones. We reviewed the horrible Martyrs remake. That was our first one of the year.
That was a terrible piece of shit of a movie.
That should have been the omen for this year, actually. That should have been like, oh yeah, this is what's gonna happen now.
Yeah, so I think the worst movie. I think we did pretty well with movies. Although I think people like us when we review bad movies, which is funny. But
we did plenty of bad ones this year, so that's okay.
Yeah, let's just do a quick run through of some of the better films. You can find our episodes on hardyconstruction.tumblr.com/reviews. If you want to see most of our episodes, we also have obviously the YouTube channel. But we always start out with Sleepaway Camp film, and I think we saw the final Sleepaway Camp film, and which is probably why there'll never be any more Sleepaway Camp movies, because that movie was so fucking terrible. You hear that?
It was terrible.
It actually
Angela
made the
was
fire
dressed up
crew
as a
come
cop at one point. It was
Angela was hot
bad.
though. Remember, Angela dresses up as like a slutty woman at the end. Not that I'm slut shaming.
You man.
I didn't bother with Fear the Walking Dead this year. No interest in watching that shitty movie, that shitty show. Because if I want to see people depressed about zombies, I'll just go watch the regular Walking Dead. The Walking Dead obviously came back. It's getting
The
mixed.
Walking Dead this year was pretty good, I have to say.
I thought it was okay this year. I didn't think it was anything crazy or special. They're obviously doing the same shit that they're doing with Negan that they did with the governor, but Negan's a much more fleshed out villain.
Now that I'm up to date on the comics, like basically.
Oh yeah, obviously.
I have to say that they did it pretty good. Like they did it exactly how I would expect them to do it.
Okay.
To stay honorable to the comic.
I skipped. No, I did see You didn't see American Horror Story Hotel. I did see that. I thought it was okay. American Horror Story Roanoke I thought was better, but a lot of people did not like that show. They did not like that season. I thought the twist in the middle was really good. What other things? What other stuff did we like? With The Witch. You like The Witch a lot, right?
I still think about The Witch. I love it.
I bet you do.
Stranger Things came out this year. That was awesome.
That was good. That was a fun show. I'm trying to see stuff that really stuck out.
We did They Live, which is basically a documentary of the American political system this year.
That's true. That's what John Carpenter says. He says it's a documentary. That's what.
To me, the biggest loss of this year is that Bernie Sanders didn't win. I'm not going to say that Trump or Clinton would have won. Bernie Sanders didn't win, so we lost.
Yeah.
The end of politics.
We saw Annabelle. That was a pile of shit. I thought that looked bad.
Oh, that was horrible.
Standouts. They're making a sequel, Annabelle 2, because that movie made a lot of money. Standouts for me this year. I'm gonna go short list.
I'm gonna watch it.
I'm gonna go. What's that?
Annabelle 2? Are we going to
probably will.
ourselves with that?
Standouts for me with movies this year that I really enjoyed. They might have came out last year, but movies that we saw this year. They Look Like People stood out a lot for me. I enjoyed that film. It was a very lo-fi, low-budget film. Remember the movie about the guy who thinks there is like aliens taking over people?
Yeah, I remember that one. It was good.
It's a good film about horror and mental illness that I thought was done incredibly well. I thought The Invitation is one of my top 3 this year for horror. Directed by Karen Kusama.
Oh yeah, that one was pretty cool too.
That was about this guy and his girlfriend are invited to his ex-girlfriend's house with a bunch of their friends to
like a cult.
And it gets into a cult thing, which I think was incredible. One of the worst movies this year was Cell for me. Horrible adaptation of a Stephen King film.
It wasn't as bad as I expected, though.
You love that ending, right? The one where John Cusack's running around like a more.
No, I don't love it, but
just as good as the book, right? What a piece of shit that was.
You know, it was a really bad one that I was disappointed when Animals Dream.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot. You know what it is, when we see films that are basically women that turn into monsters, because it's supposed to be, a lot of those films are just like supposed to be meaning about their, you know, sexuality and stuff like that. Obviously, what comes to mind is Ginger Snaps, but this was nothing like that. I think it was trying to feel right, and it was trying to feel more like an artsy fartsy version. But Spring did that a lot better. Although I don't think Spring was doing something about sexuality per se. I think it was more about, you know, it was dealing more with H.P. Lovecraft style stuff.
A wonderful love story.
A beautiful movie. What other movies? There's damn, it's almost like
we saw The Wailing.
The Wailing was a fantastic
really good,
movie.
Like,
That's another top 3 of the year for me. I'm trying to figure out what the top 3 were, but I guess I don't know. Train to Busan was a very fun Korean horror film, zombie film. I think it's probably those. I wouldn't say Train to Busan is top 3, but certainly.
It was good.
Certainly,
Session 9 is up there.
Session 9 is an older film, so I can't really rank it as a new film. But most certainly, Session 9 is an incredible film, and it's just like, you have to see it. It's like one of the best sort of guys just stuck in a room. Like to me, it's like almost like a spiritual successor to The Thing, but without all the science fiction elements. It's just guys being guys, and a horror kind of overtakes them. It's done really well, especially with no budget. But for me, The Invitation and They Look Like People certainly are up there. I like The Witch. I don't like The Witch as much as you did, but
I don't know. There's something about it.
I thought it was I thought it was incredibly well crafted. I got to say that's incredible. But for sure, I think maybe the worst of the year probably was Sleepaway Camp 4. Like, even that was the first one we saw this year.
No, that wasn't the worst. The worst is Annabelle. Come on.
No, Sleepaway Camp 4 is worse than Annabelle. At least Annabelle was trying to rip off Rosemary's Baby. So it was trying to do something good, but it was still a piece of shit. Listen,
Baby.
let's say Annabelle's a piece of shit, right? Let's say to me, Sleepaway Camp 4 is a piece of shit with vomit on top of it. So it's like worse. It's like it's incompetent filmmaking at its worst. It's a really bad movie. What are
it was funny.
Are there any movies that you saw outside of the horror genre that you enjoyed?
There are. I just can't think of any.
Also, by the way, we also saw Under the Shadow that I enjoyed a lot. Under the Shadow was very good. There was also
that was actually awesome.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
There was this film review that made it. That was this #1 movie of the year, and I was like, oh, it was good. I didn't know it was that crazy, but I liked it. Are there any movies you saw outside this year that you thought were like incredible?
I still haven't seen Star Wars. I know this is like horrible.
Rogue One, you mean, right? Rogue One, you haven't seen.
Yeah, Rogue One. I still haven't seen it. I have to fucking see it. I just haven't had a chance, really.
I enjoyed it. It's slow the first hour and a half. I'm sorry, the first hour, that's like the whole fucking movie. The first like 30 minutes. But it's still enjoyable, but I thought it was good. The last 40 minutes of the film, like the war scene, is quite possibly worth every penny that you put. Even if you pay like $15 or something to watch it, that last half hour of the film is easily the best action, as in like war stuff in Star Wars, that I've ever seen in Star Wars films. And just for any film in general, it's like really well done. Like they just knew what to do put together, even if you didn't give a shit about the characters, because I didn't really find myself giving a shit a lot about the characters.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah, and there's people that review it and they're like,
world of it.
There's a lot of people reviewing it saying, oh, you wouldn't give a shit about the characters, and it's relying too much on nostalgia. And it's like, it takes 15 minutes before fucking episode 4. The original was like, do you not expect to see Darth Vader and not TIE fighters and shit? Obviously, they're going to be in the fucking movie. It takes place right before. Yeah. Like, what do you think? Civil War, Captain America Civil War was fucking great. As a genre film, I thought that was really, really fun movie. Doctor Strange was okay. I did like Deadpool, but it kind of like, it was funny. Deadpool, like, it was like
Deadpool 2016? I guess the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. But it kind of fell into that the typical sort of guy has to save his girlfriend from a bad guy thing. You know what I mean?
I liked it. I think it got a little overhyped, but I definitely
I think it overhyped. But there were definitely some jokes in that film that worked for me, like the scene where he goes to the X-Men mansion, and you only see Colossus and negative teenage, whatever that was, that teenage warhead girl, and he says, "Wow, it's almost like
it's like a goth."
Yeah, and he's like, "Wow, it's almost like only we could afford two characters for this movie." And I was fucking laughing so hard because he's like, "There's a lot of wall breaking in that." I did see Warcraft, and I thought it was okay, but it seemed like a waste of money. I saw a
Right.
lot of like the bigger films this year, and I was like, I just didn't like. It was okay. I don't understand the making of it.
I didn't see many in theaters.
There's something weird about Warcraft where that movie is based on a video game, obviously about troll or war. What are they, trolls or something? Not trolls. What are these fucking monsters? Whatever they like, Shrek and shit, versus the humans, and you're supposed to feel either way about these.
Ogres.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the fuck they are, monsters from another dimension. That's what they are. They're actually from another dimension, and you're supposed to feel for either side. What? And like it just didn't make any sense. Obviously, they had a hot female ogre played by
Ooh,
played by this hot
sexy
Paula.
ogre lady.
Look up Paula Patton. She's a hot chick. She was married to Robin Thicke, I think, the guy who sang Blurred Lines. And she's like obviously
is
an
hot.
ogre. She's an ogre woman. She's like painted green. They was trying to do some Avatar bullshit with this movie, and they had them like some forced love in that film because it didn't make any sense. Like all of a sudden, this guy wanted a fucking ogre woman.
Interspecies ogre human relations.
Almost at the end, they're like falling in love with each other, but then they're torn apart at the end. So like whatever. There's movies that I haven't seen that I want to check out. There's a movie called Little Sister. That looks pretty cool. It's about this girl who's like a quasi goth and whose brother was like in the war, so he's all deformed. And it's like a depressing movie. It's like one of those drama, like quirky drama movies that I heard it's good. So I'm like recording this just so I can remind myself about it. What other films did you see? You didn't see a lot of movies this year. TV. What did you think about Berserk, the anime? I think we're gonna be reviewing that next year.
Berserk is cool. I've done like half of the season so far, but it's definitely cool. The animation is not as good as the first season.
Yeah, Berserk
but
is this animation, this Japanese animated show. Originally, there was an original version of the show in the 1990s that's incredible. It's like a sword and sorcery sort of show. Not really. It was more of like battles and knights and stuff. And in this version, it leaps about a couple years after that series. But it's done now in computer.
They start doing CGI and shit. Like
yeah, it's done in
it's
done in really rickety animation, which sucks. But the show is really good, and it's very much a dark show, and it's like really like anti-religion stuff. It's really crazy the type of show it is. But I like the show a lot, and it shows you when the writing is and the like the characters are so good that you don't give a shit at how bad it looks, like the animation and stuff. It's sort of like why people like the South Park, but I guess South Park, the whole reason it was badly animated.
South Park's
amazing.
It.
That's true. I didn't bother with Passengers. I don't have any interest in seeing Jennifer Lawrence.
I heard it wasn't good anyway.
I heard it was okay, but I don't want to bother with that. Any action movies that you saw this year that you thought were pretty good? Or
I'm like really racking my brains. I can't. I mean, I know I have seen.
If you can't if you offhand can't remember like shit that you watched, then you're like, oh, I guess it wasn't really worth watching, right? I
think I'm just like out of it because I'm tired. But
I went through all of Ghost in the Shell, which was this animated film. It influenced The Matrix and stuff like that. Ghost in the Shell is this Japanese film directed by Mamoru Oshii, and it's about consciousness and cyberizing your body and stuff like that. It's a very good movie. Ghost in the Shell they're making a remake with Scarlett Johansson, and already in the trailer I could see.
I meant right around the corner, as in this is gonna.
That's true. But they're remaking it with Scarlett Johansson. I'm not sure about it. Obviously, they used a lot of visuals from the movie, but the thing with Ghost in the Shell is that it's like a team show, so it's a bunch of like 5 or 6 main characters, and it looks like in the film version they're just focusing on Scarlett Johansson as the character, and they're changing her personality a little bit, so it's sort of off-putting.
And are they making her look more Asian or something?
No, I think that was one of the ideas, but they decided not to do that, which is okay because I'm like, who gives a fuck? But
I'm pretty glad that they decided not to do that.
But I really suggest people, if they like the Ghost in the Shell film, if they like the Ghost in the Shell Part 2 Innocence, very good movie. I think you should get into that. It's a really respectable science fiction. It's not like, hey, he's a robot.
I've heard of it a lot.
Yeah, like the weird thing about Ghost in the Shell, the series, because it also had a TV show, like 2 seasons called Standalone Complex. And it's not just a show where, because usual kind of science fiction shows is like, Oh, it's a robot. It's science fiction. That's it. This one actually
Yeah.
talks about it talks about psychoanalysis, about living in another world, putting your body inside a robot. How does that affect you?
Yeah, like our
Philosophy.
consciousness and if it's
Right.
still us
That's
and all that
and
kind
I
of
was
shit.
very surprised at how that show Standalone Complex. It really gets into the idea of changing yourself and the certain types of philosophies of life, and it's a very deep show. But I think since people see it's like cartoons, they're like, "Oh, this can't be good. It just must be just tits and ass." But it's a very, very, very good show, and I highly suggest.
Are there tits and ass?
Yes, there are some scenes, but it's like respectable tits and ass. You know, it's the side boob. But it's a
Okay.
very
Oh,
it's
side
a
boobs.
it's a really
Okay.
good show. I mean, like anybody who likes science fiction, I highly recommend Standalone Complex and anything with Ghost in the Shell. It's very good. I'm gonna get into the new series Arise, so we'll see how that goes. But there's films that I haven't seen yet. Horror films like The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I don't know if you knew about that movie that came out.
No.
Yeah, it seems like one of those movies. I assume just because it's a dead woman on a slab. Ever since I seen Dead Girl, I just assume it's somebody like raping a dead person on on a slab. Because
like a
that's like
zombie sex meat.
That's like 90% of those movies. Because there was a European movie that came out like that where it was like a woman, like a guy having sex with a dead woman on a fucking slab, and I'm like, oh my, it's like who the fuck watches this for like 2 hours? Like, what the hell is the point of this?
Necrophiliacs.
I watched The Strain, which was season 3, which was
You said
good.
it was horrible, right?
No, it was okay. It was okay. It got into the chaos, which is fine. I'd rather see more chaos. When it dealt with like boring shit like characters, it was terrible. But this season did all right, and it had a fantastic sort of season finale. And next year is the final season of the show, so we finally get a wrap up. It's one of those shows. It's a show just like The Walking Dead, where I'm stuck. You know, I gotta watch it. It's not like
I mean, what I watched did not impress me.
right. It's not an
to say.
impressive show, but it's not like Fear the Walking Dead, where I was like, "Fuck this!" Like after the first season, after
Does
6
Under
episodes,
the Dome
I was out
still
of it.
exist? Is Under
No,
the
they
Dome
they
still
actually
going?
canceled that show, so
Oh,
it's
good,
not
okay.
coming back. I tried to watch. I think Zoo season 2 came out, and I didn't bother with that because I saw the first two episodes, and I thought it was one of the worst shows I ever saw. But I shouldn't be surprised because the book was fucking awful. Ghostbusters the remake came out, and there was a whole big thing about framing it that men were abusing the women in the film. They said, "Oh, men were the reasons why this movie should be made," which is fucking complete bullshit. Because the first Ghostbusters had nothing to do with over sexualizing people. To me, I don't know. Like I tried to watch the first 10
I
minutes.
still haven't seen it, but I'm not against seeing it.
I'm not against seeing
haven't
it.
seen
I saw. Well, I'm against seeing it because I saw it and it sucked dick. The first 10 minutes were like the most boring kind of. That sort of awkward I'm in on it type of jokes, which had nothing to do with the first one. You know, that sort of like, if you like, I guess you like The Office, right? So it was sort of that The Office, but like the worst jokes, not like the good jokes of The Office. It was like the bad jokes of The Office. Like if they had,
Yeah.
I could understand if Tina Fey wrote Ghostbusters, I'd watch that because Tina Fey actually knows how to write comedy. She's a woman and she's not going around making it, oh look, you have a penis, you must die, because that's what they did with the bad guy at the end. I don't give a fuck if you want to like make men look like assholes, because men are assholes. There's no question about that. If you want to make men look like
Just look at
shitheads,
us.
fine, right? But don't make it like all of a sudden you're champions for people because you want to make it funny. I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about men. Fuck them.
Comedy first.
Yeah.
Feminist.
Social
point second, maybe.
standing second. Make it funny first for everybody to fucking laugh at it. They made Siren. I didn't see that. That was a feature length version of the short that was in not ABCs of Death. In
Yeah, we were just talking about this.
yeah, VHS. VHS, the first film that was a movie
okay,
called,
about the vampire chick that says she likes you.
yeah, she was. I think she was a succubus actually, but
I would date her.
I'm sure you would. I don't think you would turn anybody away. I think you're.
I mean,
pretty-
she's got that big wide open hole in her face. It's perfect.
That's called a mouth. I don't know what you're talking about. Anything else that stood out to you, or what bothered you about 2016? I think a lot bothered you, right? There was a lot of good actors out there.
Everything. This horrible year. Fucking Carrie Fisher just died.
Yeah, Danny and I were
David
arguing
Bowie,
about.
It's like everyone in the world fucking died.
Danny and I were talking about David Bowie, not David Bowie, George Michael and Carrie Fisher. I Am a Hero.
All I was saying,
Well,
I'm
next
not
year,
saying George Michael doesn't matter. I'm saying that Carrie Fisher upsets people more because not only is she like an iconic person, but also she's like currently filming a thing that like millions of people would be really upset if it didn't get filmed. Like George Michael wasn't making like an album that people have been waiting for 2 decades. That's all I'm saying. But apparently she got done filming, which is great. But like, obviously, I'm very upset because I love her. Like, that sucks.
They actually released after so many years. They released Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and nobody saw that. It's sort of like last year when they made Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Like, they made movies that based on these novels
are like
that made
little
cash.
Gimmicky sort of movies.
And those are actually based on books that actually made some cash, because you know how those books are beyond.
They're beyond copyright law.
Right. So they're able to just put zombies and people will just go, because people are like crazy over zombies. Batman vs. Superman was this year? Get the fuck out of here. I thought that was last year. Yeah, it was okay.
I can't even believe it. I actually lived in Seattle at one point this year.
Did you watch that movie? You didn't watch that movie, right?
No, I didn't see
You didn't see Civil War yet either, right?
That I really want to see, but I haven't
That's
seen it
fun,
yet.
yeah. Batman vs. Superman was okay. I don't know why people put it as like the worst movie ever made, but I think what the fuck up with Batman vs. Superman is that they used two storylines separately from the comic books that would have been incredible films by themselves, and they decided to put them together and fuck up the storyline just so, whatever reason, which is stupid. And Batman's killing people, which I guess, depends, because Batman's been killing people since Tim Burton movies. I don't think he should kill people in films, but in this one it was really glaringly obvious that he was killing people. And,
right.
I realized, though, the worst film for the year for me, which was not horror, was Suicide Squad. The worst movie I've seen.
Yeah, that's another one I haven't seen.
I mean,
you told me how bad it was. And I was like,
even the situation that before I saw the film, I was telling Danny, I was sitting in the theater, I saw it by myself because I'm a popular guy, and I was sitting in this row, and this girl and her father sit behind me, and this girl is like 12 years old or something. She gets up and she sits next to me, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Her father gets up and he goes, she's, excuse me, do you think I could sit with my daughter? So effectively evicting me from my own seat because he wanted to sit with his own daughter. Like, because, somebody else, like, I'm not going to tell this girl to leave. I thought it was very strange that this girl just sat next to me. And then her father comes and asks me, and I was like throwing a piss. I was like cursing as I walked out because I just wanted to see. And then, like I thought I was going to have a bad time in the movie, and then I realized it got even worse because that movie was the worst movie I saw this year. It was the worst movie. The Joker was fucking stupid. Like, I was like, okay,
apparently they cut out a lot of his scenes. Yeah, I don't know.
They gave him.
I can't bring myself to watch it because
it's horrible, Danny.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see a bad depiction of the Joker.
It's like well, that's it then. They chopped up, like, I think he only had like 10 minutes, half an hour screen time or something like that. In the movie, it's only 6 minutes he's in the film. And I want to give Jared Leto a chance because I was like, he's okay as an actor. He was good in movies that I've seen, obviously. The
second I saw that design, I was like, okay, this is going to be horrible. Like,
but he's really, like, he's acting like he looks like a pop singer in the film. He doesn't look like the Joker. Like, there's obviously different ways you can play the Joker. Obviously, we had Cesar Romero. We had this guy from The Dark Knight. What the fuck was his name? Heath Ledger. And also Jack Nicholson, obviously, who's playing himself, but he's still playing.
Nobody's ever going to beat like Mark Hamill or Jack Nicholson.
Right. And there was also that they made a Batman animated film, The Killing Joke, which was an adaptation of an Alan Moore graphic novel. Which, I'm gonna get shit for it, but I didn't think I thought the graphic novel was okay. It was basically what they used for The Dark Knight, the film, the plot where the Joker is trying to make what's his face, Commissioner Gordon, go nuts because he shoots Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and he makes her paralyzed. And I was like, it's okay. Like, I don't know what the fuck's so great about. I guess there might have been philosophy that kind of just flew over my head in the book. But in the film, they adapted it, and it was adapted by the guys who did the old cartoon show. The one from Channel Fox and stuff like that.
What the fuck is his name? Paul Dini.
Yeah, Batman the Animated Series. So they did a version of it, but they added like a first half an hour to flesh out Barbara Gordon, Batgirl's character, to make her more important in the film. For the reason when she gets shot, because in the book she just gets shot and that's it, and you know who she is. But in the film they try to flesh her out, and then they make her fuck Batman on a rooftop, like she feels this boner.
Really?
Yeah, so people
Bruce
were going.
Timm and Paul Dini, those are the guys.
They try to I guess they try to put some meat into it, and people got all offended. It's like, oh, how could you make? And I'm like, it's just. I was like, I didn't give a fuck what like it's just that it was just like a pointless movie to make, like because that material for that book wasn't enough. Like when they actually made like a Batman Year One animated movie, that was great. Like they made it based on the Frank Miller comic, fantastic. They made the Dark Knight Returns, which was another Frank Miller. Listen, just adapt Frank Miller because Alan Moore won't like whatever the fuck you make anyway. Don't bother with that shit. Also one of the other best films I saw this year was The Nice Guys, which was
Adam Sandler?
Are you nuts? No, it's a movie with Russell Crowe and the guy from Drive. What is his name? That guy from Drive.
Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling. It's about these two PIs in the 70s. Really good. Like, if you like Shane Black is a guy who did, like, he wrote all the Lethal Weapon movies. And he also did, like, a fantastic movie called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. A fucking great movie. He's really good at making these character films. He also did Danny's favorite Marvel movie, which was Iron Man 3. But Shane Black is fucking great. And Shane Black is directing and writing the new Predator. Or if you hate Shane Black because of Iron Man 3, go see The Nice Guys.
Lethal Weapon, all those.
Go see Nice Guys. Could you imagine all the stuff Shane Black had to cut out of this guy's Mel Gibson? It's by saying Jew this, right. Jew that.
He's like, no, I really want to have a scene where there's like a cop beating up a Jew.
And one of the third.
I don't know, Mel.
What is the third worst movie that we saw this year, Danny? What is a movie that we saw that was so horrible that we didn't even review it for the show? We saw it at a movie theater in Times Square.
Oh God, Neon Demon.
Yeah, yep. People put that in there.
That was like $20 tickets or something.
People put it in their top movies. So they said the Neon Demon was great. I don't know what movie they saw.
It.
Beautiful looking film, beautiful music. Everything else was real pretentious shit. And I love.
It is a movie for people that don't appreciate art or horror. Want to pretend that they do. So I love that movie.
I love pretentiousness. I love it. This ain't it. I don't know what the fuck happened with this movie. And Keanu Reeves, like I couldn't believe his acting in this movie was so horrible.
Oh, yeah.
It's real Alita shit. And I was like, okay. A movie I had wanted to see all this time was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. They fucked that movie up big time. And it had Krang, it had Bebop and Rocksteady. I know. Well, I guess you're right. This is what happens. The first movie, the first remake that they made recently, I guess 2 years ago, so shitty that they actually said, okay, we'll fix the storyline. We'll put every character that you like in this new one. It was so bad, the first one, people just didn't bother. They thought it was going to be some sort of Transformers shit. Nope, they didn't bother.
I didn't see the first one because it's like, there's no way I'm going to see a Michael Bay produced fucking Ninja Turtles.
The Conjuring 2, didn't bother to see that. Didn't want to see Independence Day Resurgence. I've never trusted those two fucking directors ever since I saw what did they direct? 2012, I think it was the movie that they directed. Stargate was the only movie that I liked. Independence Day, okay, fine. I liked it. I didn't love that movie.
I liked the original.
I loved Stargate. That was the one that I loved so much. And because they fucked up with this piece of shit Independence Day 2, they won't make.
You know what I saw?
They won't make Stargate 2.
Oh, what the hell is it called? Hold on 1 second. I'll look it up. You just keep talking.
Movies that came out this year also, The Legend of Tarzan. Didn't bother with that. I'm sure it was very good. Good for them.
I saw Galaxy Quest for the first time this year.
Did you? Awesome. Wow. Okay. Starring
I had never seen it. It was awesome.
Starring the late great Alan Rickman, who passed away this year. Unfortunately, this year. Alan Rickman was fucking awesome. He was an awesome actor. Everything. There was a scene in Galaxy Quest when the aliens are giving food to the crew. And they think Alan Rickman is actually an alien, so they give him food that they think is from a show, and it jumps into the ceiling. And Alan Rickman has a look on his face that is the best look I've ever seen in a movie, because he just looks up and he just looks like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
It's a great movie.
It is a fun movie. The Purge: Election Year, which is the third film in the Purge series. Never saw part 1. I liked part 2 because part 2 was sort of like a throwback to 70s revenge action horror movies. It was like a Charles Bronson sort of film. Basically, the premise of the second movie, you don't have to watch these movies to like get it. I guess the third one you have to like watch the second one because it's a character that carries over, not like the first one. It's a premise of the Purge is that you got 24 hours to kill or do whatever the fuck you want, and then back to.
It's Running Man. It's basically
essentially, but around the whole world, around the whole United States. And in the Purge 2, he's looking to kill this guy who accidentally ran over his son drunkenly. He ends up not killing the guy. He kills about 50 or 40 other people in the movie, kills them dead. In part 3, uh, he doesn't kill the guy who kills his son. Sorry to spoiler it. He decides to, be a better person. In part 3, he's like in the trailer. He's working for a female who's running for president. I guess they were trying to predict Hillary Clinton winning in this one. He in the trailer itself, he says, "I almost did something I didn't want to do," which he meant in killing the drunk driver. He killed 40 people. He killed 50 or 40 people in the second movie. But he's
a serial killer.
Yeah, but he feels like killing the drunk guy was something that he wouldn't made him do. Do you know what I mean? He was acting like he didn't kill anybody in the second movie. It was so fucking stupid that I didn't even want to bother with it. So dumb. Star Trek Beyond, I didn't want to watch. It had the late great young actor, the guy from Green Room. Oh shit, what am I forgetting his name? Anton Yelchin. Anton Yelchin was in Green Room. Remember the movie about the kids?
He died this year too, right?
Yeah, he fucking his truck or his Jeep or something, the brakes got loose and pinned him to a wall and killed him after he was getting his fucking mail. So I didn't see Star Trek Beyond. I heard it was okay. Didn't look like something I was interested in watching, but I felt bad for Anton Yelchin because he was obviously a young actor. It was sort of like when Paul, what's his name from the Fast and the Furious died.
Paul Walker. We
know somebody that's obsessed with Paul Walker. We won't say his name.
Absolutely obsessed.
It was 3 weeks of mentioning Paul Walker's name. I was like, did he owe you money or something? But anyway, yeah. So Green Room was good. I enjoyed that. That was a fun little dirty movie. Lights Out came out, which was based on a short horror film. I didn't want to watch it. Wasn't bothered with that. Jason Bourne, the new versions came out. Didn't give a shit about that movie.
I have no interest in those movies.
Yeah, Nine Lives, a movie with the great Kevin Spacey voicing over a cat. Looked like one of the worst movies in the history of all time. Hell or High Water, very very good movie. Nobody knows about that movie. It stars Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, and Ben Foster about robbing banks in Texas. And it wouldn't seem like it's sort of like a modern Western, and I don't really give a fuck about Westerns.
I have to see Westworld. That seems to be a really good
That's a very good show. I enjoyed that. I actually got to see good television this year, except for, what was that show? Scream Queens went to shit this season. Really bad season. I think Ryan Murphy was sucking his own dick, because the first season I loved, but this second season was bad. He was too busy
inventing the genre of comedy.
Yeah, horror. That's true. He made up comedy horror. What was it? What was that other show? Scream, the television show. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I know nobody else watches that show, but I do. I like the characters in that show, but they need to go to a new direction. And they had a Halloween special that really sucked dick. It was horrible. Okay. Don't Breathe, we saw, was okay. I didn't think it was that great. People were going nuts over it. It was nothing nothing to go crazy about. Blair Witch, the remake, came out, and rightfully so went right into the garbage can. Nobody saw that movie.
Yeah, there's certain movies that I just will not see unless somebody tells me, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it, but it's really good," because I know it's bad.
Tim Burton came out with his next masterpiece, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, with you would think on paper would look really well for something for him, but apparently it sucked dick too.
I've kind of given up on him after Alice in Wonderland and all this kind of shit.
That was the worst. I mean, dude, I fell asleep through that Alice in the Wonderland movie.
Big Fish was a really good movie.
Yeah, I saw parts of that. That was actually pretty good.
Something must have happened to him. I don't know what happened, but
I don't know. He just probably is creatively bankrupt. I don't know. He went
nuts or something. I don't know.
Doctor Strange was okay for a Marvel film. It was fun, but I think they sped up the antagonist and a little bit too much, the bad guy stuff. It's one of those movies where the first half is learning about him, and then the second half automatically he's fighting a bad guy, where there's no real sort of conflict that you give a fuck about, and it's a waste for Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen is a very good actor. He was on Hannibal, that great series, and they have him they use him better in Rogue One than they do in Doctor Strange.
Oh, wait, don't tell me anything else, because I didn't know he was in that.
No, he's in the first 5 minutes of the movie. He's throughout the movie in Rogue One. Don't worry about it. It's not spoiling anything. But he's a very good actor, and they sort of just he got Marvel money now. He's in 2 movies. He got paid for Marvel, so I'm sure he's okay. That's why you're gonna see a lot of actors from Marvel movies and Star Wars and shit, because it's the same. Marvel owns Disney. I mean, Disney owns Marvel, so that's why you'll see the guy from Captain. Who's it? The Black Panther. He's gonna be in a bunch of other Disney movies and shit. So they all know what the fuck they're doing. They know what they're doing. Either way, It was an interesting year for film and television. Westworld was a great show.
I got to check it out so bad. My
Stranger
roommate keeps
Things
going
is
on about it.
Stranger Things is a very good show, and there's plenty of television series that I think Obviously, the great thing about Netflix and other shows is that you can just kind of in your own time just watch whatever the fuck you want. And
Black Mirror is also on my list.
yeah, I hear Black Mirror is great. You told me you saw a couple episodes and said it was good, right?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the first season and a couple of random episodes, and I saw one episode of the new season, and it was good.
I'm looking at this thing and it says Better Call Saul season 2 was in 2016. I'm not sure, was it? Better Call Saul, that was a great show. That's if you like Breaking Bad. This is sort of a slower, weird, like a lawyer version of Better Call Saul.
Breaking Bad.
I'm sorry, yeah, like Breaking Bad. It's a really good show. That's a very good show. If it was, I could have sworn it's been that long since I haven't seen it, but it's a very, very, very good show. This is basically an episode where we're just telling people what to see this year. I saw the first 3 episodes of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I enjoyed that. I got to watch the rest of the season, but it's kind of one of those shows where you're like, I'll get back to it.
I like the main actress.
Yeah, I ended up liking Luke
awesome.
Cage a lot. Luke Cage was like part of the new Netflix Marvel shows, and they did a really good job with that show. Like for what it was, like this guy who kind of living. The only thing is that Luke Cage in the comic book, from the comic books that I saw of Luke Cage, is that he's sort of like this jive talking dude, like a black guy who's like totally like cool and shit. You know what I mean? Like he's really cool,
Right.
and he can just kind of talk shit, but it's funny. The only thing in the TV show, because the show is like written by black people, and which gives the show a really
Well, they made him
unique
more serious,
vote.
didn't they?
They made him more serious, but he kind of comes off like a nerd or something. Like he's not cool, like he's not hip. Like, but I get, you know what? The Luke Cage from the comic book was written by white people, so that's probably what their version of a cool black guy is, as opposed to this kind of what the kids say is woke black man. But this Luke Cage is sort of like a Bible.
I heard that the fucking show's great. I still
It is a
haven't
great show.
seen Jessica Jones,
But I sort of
can't
wanted
say
I wanted to
about
see him throw a little bit more like assholishness into the character. He's like really goody two shoes, so which is fine. So, but it's a good show. It's a really good show, and the guy playing I already forgot the character's name, but Mahershala Ali as the bad guy in the first half of the show is really fucking great. He's a great fucking villain. The Night Of was this cop show, not a cop show. This show about this guy who wakes up in bed with a dead girl, and it was on HBO. It was a miniseries, very good show that I think everybody
What
should
does he
check
do
out.
with her afterwards?
He gets arrested. That's what happens. And we find that he's in jail and put on trial. It's a very good show. Shows that just came out called The OA that I heard is good, so I'm not sure about that. I think that's it. We've talked a lot, right? This episode. It's enough shit.
I'm glad that we're ending on things
what-
to watch and not everyone that we love is dead.
What is the worst?
Have a nuclear war.
Did you have a worst show that you saw this year?
No, I've only watched good things. That's why I'm way more choosy lately, because I don't want to waste my time. So I wait until I hear from people that something is good, and then I watch it.
The good thing about television now is that now you have enough shit to watch on TV that you can be like, oh, I'll watch this if not. Oh, I also saw the season 2 of Mr. Robot. Was fucking great. That's a great show. I can't think of any other. Game of Thrones was great this year. That was great.
Still haven't watched Ash vs. the Evil Dead, but I'm gonna marathon.
Yeah, I gotta watch
the shit
season
out
2 of Evil Dead. See, there's so many fucking shows that are out there. Anyway, film wise, I wouldn't say year wise. 2016. What rating would you give 2016? Okay, what rating would you give 2016 with television, with film, and life, and things that are happening politically and whatever
In my
else?
own life,
Just
I
in
can't-
general, 2016. What rating would you give
Just
it?
the whole idea of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump drags it down like 2 points. automatically. My dog died this year. Like,
sorry.
A close family friend died. Like, no, this is a horrible, horrible year. I'm gonna have to give this year like a 4.
I think I'm gonna give
The
it a 4 out of
The
what?
4 points will be from good TV and movies, and the rest is from everything in life sucking.
So what is it? A 4 out of what?
A 4 out of 10. Having a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a really good president that isn't burdened down with like 500 scandals and actually seems to really care about the things he talks about, and instead rigging the election against him, so and forcing us into a situation where we have to choose between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and getting Donald Trump as a result.
Wow, that's political. I'll give it also a 4 out of 10 because it's been a pretty shitty year. Just everything outside of film and television has kind of been shit this year. I believe. Let me see what 4 out of 10. Okay, I think this is it. I think this happened. Did we get those dumplings this year? And then we found that it was like in a wrap.
God, that
okay,
was
so this is
gross.
this happened to us personally. A 4 out of 10. Me reading on Gothamist.com where to eat the best dumplings. So I take two of my friends on separate times to eat these dumplings. One of them being Danny, of course. And then seeing a week later from the same website, Gothamist, showing video of the Chinese cooks actually cutting up and making the dumplings in a alleyway in the back of the building while rats are scurrying around. So with that, Danny, what's the final word for 2016? Danny, what's the final word?
Let's look forward to a much better year in 2017 and forget this nightmare.
The horror deconstruction.